Everyone, welcome to class. Today, in this explainer, we are diving into what is essentially a field guide for our faith. We're going to be looking at Romans 15, and we're going to see exactly how to live out God's truth in our daily lives. You know, as an 8th grader, you're constantly navigating all sorts of new challenges, right? Academically, socially, and spiritually. So, this isn't just some ancient text. It's a super practical handbook for exactly where you are right now. Okay, let's dive into this and see what it actually looks like to put our faith into action.
Here's our roadmap for today's lesson. We'll cover Christ, our perfect example, bearing with one another, prayer fuels the ministry, work in progress salvation, and finally, the godly learner's path.
All right, let's jump straight into section 1, Christ, our perfect example.
We've got to start with our absolute anchor and really the ultimate standard for how we treat others, Jesus Christ. When we need to figure out how to behave, how to react to a tough situation, or just how to treat our classmates, we don't look to the culture around us, we look directly to Him. Look at the sheer weight of this command, receive one another just as Christ also received us. We are commanded to accept and welcome each other completely. I mean, just think about how Jesus welcomed you into His family. He did it with grace, with love, and without demanding that you be totally perfect first, right? We are called to perfectly mirror that exact same welcoming spirit to our peers, all to the glory of God.
And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast between what the world teaches and what Christ actually modeled. Let's be real, it is so easy in middle school to just look out for number one, to just do what feels easy, or what makes you look cool, or what pleases yourself. But Christ's perfect example shows us something entirely different. True strength isn't about being the most popular, or, always getting your own way. True strength is found in obedience to the Father and in sacrificing for others. Jesus didn't live to please Himself. He literally gave Himself up for us.
Moving right along to section 2, bearing with one another.
Let's see how this builds into our daily relationships and how Christ's example actually changes the way we interact with our peers every single day. Think of this like a massive team project. If you're strong in a certain area, maybe you understand a subject really well or your faith is just feeling really solid right now, your job as a strong believer is to bear with the weaknesses of those who are struggling. You don't just show off or leave them behind, you actively uplift the weak believers. At the same time, we see the Gentiles being included in God's mercy so they can praise Him, which reminds us that God's grace is for absolutely everyone, regardless of their background. And what is the result for all believers when we function like this? The God of hope fills the entire group with incredible joy and peace. Seriously, when you help a struggling classmate instead of laughing at them, you're living this out in real time.
Okay, section 3, prayer fuels the ministry.
But here's the big question. How do we actually find the energy to love each other like this and spread this good news when we're quite frankly tired or frustrated? Why is prayer so critically important for gospel ministry? Now, you might think ministry is all about traveling the world, standing on a big stage, or preaching to huge crowds. But we really need to understand the actual engine driving the whole thing. So, the crucial point is this. God's work requires us to strive together through the love of the Spirit. Ministry is not a solo sport. It absolutely depends on prayer, unity, love, and aligning ourselves with God's will. When you pray for your pastor, your teachers, your parents, or even a friend who's trying to follow Jesus, you are actively participating in gospel ministry. You are literally uniting your voice with theirs in the spiritual trenches.
Look at how hyper-specific the Apostle Paul was when he asked for prayer. He didn't just casually say, "Hey, pray for me." No, he gave them 3 clear steps to pray for. Step 1, he begged them to pray for his safety and deliverance from unbelievers in Judea. Step 2, he asked them to pray that his financial gift and service would actually be accepted by the poor saints in Jerusalem. And step 3, he asked for prayer that he could finally visit the believers in Rome by the will of God with a refreshed and joyful spirit. When you pray, be specific like Paul. Ask God exactly for what you need to accomplish His will.
Which leads us to section 4, work in progress salvation.
This brings us to a really beautiful truth about our daily walk with God. We are all a work in progress. And honestly, that's okay. Faith isn't just a one-time event where you check a box and then coast for the rest of your life. It's a continuous, active process. Look at these action words: bearing with one another, receiving others, serving, giving, praying, hoping. You don't just do these once. You wake up every single day and you choose to do them again. You keep surrendering. You keep helping each other grow in obedience to God from the heart. If you mess up today, well, you ask for forgiveness, and tomorrow you get right back to serving and hoping. It's His daily walk.
Finally, let's wrap up with section 5, the godly learner's path.
So, how does all this connect to you as an 8th grade student right now, sitting in a classroom studying math, science, and history? Well, this brings us to the core philosophy here at HeroesMart Academy. We firmly believe that true education intertwines biblical morality with academics, because, quite frankly, education without morality can actually hurt. Just becoming smarter doesn't automatically make you a better person. It can sometimes just make you more capable of doing the wrong things. Your knowledge and your intelligence must be guided by the character of Christ so that you can make wise, God-honoring choices in this world.
And this is exactly why this verse is so absolutely critical for a student. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Keeping your mind centered on God's truth isn't just some strict rule we enforce to make your life boring. Not at all. It is the ultimate shield. When you keep your mind spiritually focused on God, on truth, and on righteousness, it leads directly to true life and deep, deep peace. And that is exactly what we want for you as you pursue academic excellence.
As we wrap up this lesson, I want to leave you with a real challenge. As you pursue academic excellence today, and as you walk the halls of this school, how are you going to step up? Will you use your strengths to lift up a classmate who's struggling? Will you keep your mind beautifully anchored in God's wisdom rather than getting swept up in all that middle school drama? How will you apply your intelligence to make a choice that truly honors God this week? Think deeply about that, because your answer to that question changes everything. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson.